Hey yo, have you guys heard about 500 Level? They make officially licensed WWE merchandise, and I actually have been working with them on a couple of designs. A design that I worked on recently was with a girl named Caitlin, who's a big Dakota Kai fan, and we designed this new Dakota Kai shirt, which you can get exclusively now at 500 Level. Once again, officially licensed with the WWE. Really wanted a new Dakota Kai shirt. Got this one designed and made, and it's on the website now, on sale now, 500level.com. Guys, join their partnership program. You get discounts the more shirts you buy, 10%, 20%, 30%. You earn points and you get a discount. They have OG shirts, guys. I had to re-up on my NWO shirts on 500 Level, the comfortable material if you get the premium shirts, but even the non-premium is super comfortable. I got NWO shirts. I got Shawn Michaels shirts. You can find some of your favorite wrestlers on there. You can find none other than guys like Razor Ramon, the bad guy. Check out this shirt. It's a sweet, sweet shirt, everybody. 500level.com. Like I said, they have the NWO stuff. And if you're like a big NXT fan, they got shirts for all of your favorite NXT wrestlers. And if they don't, let me know, and I'll make sure we get some shirts made for your favorite NXT wrestler. I went to go support my girl, Carmen Petrovic. You guys can check out our casual conversation on my YouTube channel. You can check out mine and Carmen Petrovic's casual conversation. But 500 Level had a Carmen Petrovic shirt. I had to go support my fellow Canadian and the homie Carmen Petrovic, guys. 500level.com, guys. Check them out. Get premium, officially licensed WWE shirts that you cannot find in a WWE shop all the time. They have a huge selection on their website also for MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL. They got shirts for everything, but their wrestling selection is insane. Custom creative designs. Maybe I can work together with someone out there that is an editor that wants to put more designs on the website. Hit me up. 500level.com. Check them out and keep doing the thing.
We're watching the Wrestling Classic with Justin Dillon.
We have a legend in the building with us today. Inducted not once on his own, but also with the Bret Foundation. We have the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the Hitman, Bret Hart.
Guys, I'm the Wrestling Classic. I'm here with Bret the Hitman Hart. We're gonna have a conversation for about 20, 30 minutes, and then the meet and greet will start. The first thing I wanna bring up, Bret, is that it's actually the 30-year anniversary of you first winning the WWE title on this very day against the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. What are your memories about that match?
You know, it's funny about that match is I rolled my ankle in that match, and then I broke my finger, or I dislocated my finger. And so I never got to celebrate. I never got any, I remember when the show was over, they took me to the emergency. I was in emergency in Saskatoon for about 3 hours. And I never had any celebration. My big celebration for winning the title was the next night in Regina.
And like, you did cut that really good promo though about dreams coming true. Was that on the spot, or was that something you thought about when you're like, oh, I'm winning the title?
You know, it was Gene Okerlund helped me with that.
Okay.
You know, he was the one that kind of coached me on it and told me kind of what he thought I should say. And so Gene Okerlund was a big part of that. I was in awe that day. I remember I actually flew out at 6 in the morning to Regina or Saskatoon, and they told me just to go to the building So I got to the building about 6:30 in the morning, and Vince was there, and he was in a meeting with Ric Flair. I guess breaking the news to him what was going to happen, but it was all very surreal that day.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it was the first time. It's crazy. It's October 12th today, 32 years since you first won the WWE Championship. When I thought that you were coming here on that exact day, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So we know where you were 32 years ago. I wanted to ask you, because we are here in Vancouver, do you have any memories of wrestling in Vancouver or performing here?
I actually have quite a few, but I think the ones that stand out are the old Stampede wrestling. You know, I remember wrestling the British Bulldog or Davey Boy Smith in Stampede wrestling, and we were both in emergency after that match. And I remember the lady in the hospital said something about, like, what happened to you? And I said, oh, that guy over there did it. You know? And he was in worse shape than I was, but we really had a hard match that night. I broke my eardrum, and I think Davey cracked some ribs. And
I mean, if it was a really good match, maybe it was a little bit worth it.
well, the best matches are the ones that hurt the most.
Most recently, you appeared on Monday Night Raw at the Saddle Dome in Calgary. I mean, I'm pretty sure tickets went on fire once you were announced. I was lucky enough to be there live and hang out with you guys, but I want to ask you about that. When did you find out that you were appearing on Raw?
Maybe 4 or 5 days ahead of time. I found out, like, they called and asked me if I wanted to go down. And I was like, what else am I doing? But yeah, it was really special. I didn't expect that kind of reaction, and
yeah,
of course, it's been a long time since I was walked out in front of a Calgary crowd.
No, for sure. I don't want to get too into it, but I just want to know how you felt, because obviously you've had words for Bill Goldberg, and then for them to use that in a promo. When you heard that they wanted to use that in the promo and have Gunther say that, what were your initial feelings about it?
I think Bill got off light.
I also really want to ask you, recently CM Punk wrestled Drew McIntyre inside of the Hell in the Cell. And there's a little bit of a callback to your match with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 when you had him in the Sharpshooter. We had Drew with the Crimson Mask. What did you think about that match, and did you notice that moment?
Yeah, I did notice it, and I thought I always take those as a sort of a nod of respect.
Yeah.
So I like it and appreciate it, but it still wasn't as good as my Austin match.
Where would you rank your Austin match out of, like, one of your favorite matches of all time? Like, where would you place that?
I put it number 1.
Okay, there you go.
It's the best one. Like, if you watch WrestleMania 13, as you watch the whole match unfold from the beginning all the way through to like 25, 30 minutes, there's not one second or move that you would take out and say, oh, they don't need that move, or you could change it. Or, like, when I watch it, it's like, it's a masterpiece. Like, every move, all the facial expressions, and just the intensity that we both had. I think it was two guys that were in their prime.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite match. I think my second favorite match would be the Iron Man match with Shawn, which was just a different match altogether. But this Iron Man match was the hardest match I ever had, for sure.
How would you say your relationship is with Shawn Michaels today?
We're on good terms. We're respectful, and we accept each other today.
Yeah, that's awesome. You did a thing you made a video for the gentleman actually over there, GOAT Radio podcast, and they asked you who your top 5 favorite wrestlers were, and you said Owen Hart, Mr. Perfect, Dynamite Kid, Shawn Michaels, and then you said yourself, which I completely understand, and I'm totally with that. But a lot of the comments when I put that out there was like, but if he didn't pick himself, who would he have picked? So I'm curious, who would that 5th person be?
I would say Steve Austin comes to my mind.
There you go. That's a great one. That's a great answer. I'm sure he'll like hearing that as well. We were talking earlier, and you were talking about how you were really proud about that match with 1-2-3 Kid, and it was a really big standout for you. And we actually had a pretty good discussion about it in the back, so I'm just curious if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Well, you know, it's like you have all these matches in your beginning of your career, you know, working Stampede Wrestling for my dad, but like when I wrestled 1-2-3 Kid, I remember before it happened, I'm going, I already know exactly how to wrestle this match. I had other wrestlers do the same thing for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a way to rough up a guy like 1-2-3 Kid and at the same time make a hero out of him at the same time. And there's a certain kind of psychology or strategy that goes with that. And I love that match with 1-2-3 Kid. I always go, if a dad or a father and son want to watch a wrestling match with their kids and sort of teach them about pro wrestling and see if they're into it and get them into wrestling,
Yeah.
that 1-2-3 Kid match is the perfect match to teach your kid how pro wrestling works.
100%. I think we talked about how there is an art to like having or getting someone over even if they lose, if you have and tell the right story. And I think you were someone that was obviously one of the greatest to ever do that. So that match showed that.
I've had situations in my life where people think that, like when I fought the British Bulldog in Wembley Stadium, they thought it was like a passing of the torch, that Davey's going to become the new star and I'm going to, you know, lower myself down to the middle of the card or something. But I knew when I wrestled Davey at Wembley in '92 that I was going to be more over than I ever was a week later, just because of the match.
Yeah, 100%. There was a video that was going around, and it was in your run in 2010 when you came back to the WWE. And it was a live event where you worked a 6-man tag match, and you teamed with Harry and TJ. And you fought guys that were part of the Nexus. And you were moving, like, really well. Like, was that, like, a special...
Thank
like,
you.
What well, like, you know, because we saw the match at WrestleMania against Vince, and then I watched that, and I was like, oh, like, he's doing a lot more in this match than he did with Vince. Like, what do you have any stories about that match?
The 6-man?
It was a 6-man, yeah.
Well, you know, because of my situation with my concussion injury and all that, and my Lloyd's of London lawsuit that I had, I couldn't hit my head.
Yeah.
I couldn't fall backwards anyway and hit my head or take any blows to the head. And so I think, all things considered, the limitations that I had, I thought, you know, with Harry and TJ, it was just fun to be out there. Like we created like situations where I was safe and could do stuff. But it was a lot of fun. That was a match that was just for us.
Yeah,
it was for me, and we had Natty on the floor.
Yeah.
It was. I got to say I worked with my nieces and nephews and that kind of thing.
No, that's super cool. I don't want to talk too much about this, but you were recently in that Netflix Vince McMahon documentary, and you brought up how you hit him with the uppercut. Did it surprise you that he claims it wasn't an uppercut? And did it surprise you that Undertaker backed you up and said it was an uppercut?
They don't even know. They don't even remember. Yeah, I remember Jim Neidhart talking to me about that, and he told me, you jumped on Vince McMahon and you just punched him over and over and over and over. And I go, what fight did you watch? Like,
it's like everybody's got a different story, and it's like...
I'll tell you the truth. It was one punch.
Yeah.
And it was a good punch. And it was... You had to kind of be in my shoes, and I know this is hard to explain in a short couple of seconds, but I was actually being set up by Vince McMahon. He was kind of calling my bluff, and he was trying to instigate a tussle or something, because he thought that's how it looked best for him. And I could feel it happening. It's like, this guy's trying to start a fight with me in the dressing room and wants to sort of stand up to me in front of all the wrestlers and prove that he's some kind of tough guy, or I don't know what it was, but I remember that I got madder and madder, and I remember as we kind of confronted each other, it wasn't like Vince walked up to me and I just drilled him in the head, you know, it was like that never happened. He came at me and we really tied up like a pro wrestling match. And if you were in the room, there was about 30 people. They're all going to jump on us and pull us apart just the way Vince wanted. And I remember thinking, I can't have that happen.
Yeah.
I got to knock him out. And so I remember everyone would have, if I'd gone with a right hand punch, they would have hooked my arm, and that would be the end of it. We would never hear anything good about that day. But I decided to go for an uppercut. And I came right between our arms. And I literally, honest to God, I'm not exaggerating, I lifted him about a foot off the ground. Knocked him completely out cold like a starfish. His legs and his arms and everything were out like that. And he was out cold for about 5 minutes. We all just stood around looking at him like, and I remember I broke my hand, but it was the sweetest thing I ever did, and I wouldn't change any of it.
Another really sweet thing that you did, and a lot of us 90s kids will remember, is like you were actually one of the first wrestlers that we saw on The Simpsons. Recently, we just saw John Cena featured on there, but what did that mean to you to be part of the Simpsons universe?
Oh, I was a big fan, so it was a big honor for me. They originally I remember I wanted to be Bret Hart on the show, and they said, no, it's just a part for a wrestler. And I think my wrestler was called the Mad Viking or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so when I did the voiceover, I was the voice for the Mad Viking. I wasn't Bret Hart. And it's a little bit different. That's why when you hear the voiceover, it doesn't sound like me.
No.
I was trying to sound like somebody else, but it was after the whole thing was done, the producer came up and I was signing autographs in the parking lot at Fox Studios there, and they had probably about 300 people in a lineup signing autographs for him. And he came up and he goes, I had no idea you were that famous. And he goes, we're going to draw you in as you. And so they changed it and drew me in as myself. So I always thought, that's where it pays off to be a nice guy and sign some autographs. So
It is funny that you say that they didn't know that you were that famous, because I made a clip before I came to Calgary, and Blade saw it, and he actually laughed about it, where the first half was Eric Bischoff saying that he didn't realize you were a Canadian hero, but then the second half was comedian and actor Will Sasso being like, what does he know? Bret Hart's a hero. Like, I worked with him at Mad TV. So, that being said, like, you are a Canadian hero. So, like, what did it mean to you to be inducted into the Canadian Walk of Fame?
All that stuff, I'm grateful for all the good things that have come out of being Bret the Hitman Hart. I've been very lucky that way, where a lot of good memories and a lot of championships and achievements and stuff. I think if you went back to my grade 1 teacher, she'd shake her head and go, how did that happen?
Yeah. If you weren't a professional wrestler, what else would you do?
I don't know. I might have been an actor.
Yeah.
I would probably in some way to not have to work too hard for a living.
That seems fair.
I don't know. Maybe an artist. I like to draw. I like to do a lot of artwork.
I know you've talked about in your book where you would draw and then you'd put it in the back and it would pop the boys. Was there any instance where someone got really mad about the drawing?
Oh, lots of times. I remember drawing guys, and guys would come up to me with tears in their eyes and go, I don't look like that. It's like I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but you do look a bit like that. But a lot of guys got mad.
Yeah. Is there any superstars today in the current era that you think your dad would have really enjoyed training?
Oh, I think a lot of them. I think, really any of the good ones.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar. My dad would love to have had a couple hours with him in the basement. I think Brock Lesnar would have been a big fan of my dad too. Like I think they were fans of each other. I know, some of the last year or two that my dad was alive, I do remember him making a special trip just down to the Saddle Dome in Calgary just to meet Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So I know that there's, I think my dad would have had a lot of fun with Steve Austin.
Yeah.
I always loved when Steve Austin grabbed my dad in the that Stampede pay-per-view and shook him up in the front row.
Yeah.
But, that was, my dad loved that kind of stuff. He loved to be included and loved to be remembered and sort of respected and treated the way Steve Austin treated him, like he was somebody important.
Last two questions. First one first. If there was any wrestler you could work with today, and I know you get asked this a lot and it changes all the time, so I'm curious about this very current moment. There's one wrestler you could work with today. Who would you want to work with?
If I could pick one guy, it would be Rey Mysterio.
It's crazy we never got that.
I always forget Rey Mysterio, but I think Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Like, he's right up there. There's the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. He's really good. He's really special. Nobody can do what Rey Mysterio does.
No, he was an innovator. There's a lot of stuff he did first, and he really did change the game, which is hard to do in wrestling at certain times. Very last question. I asked you this last time, and you said very nice things about him, but we never got a story. Do you have any Macho Man Randy Savage stories? Like a story?
No bad ones. I had so much respect and love for Randy Savage, and I really hated the way they portrayed him on that WWE documentary about a year or two ago.
Yeah.
That's not the Randy I knew. He was one of the few wrestlers that I could say was a stand-up guy every day. And I think if I had to pick a favorite moment with Randy Savage, it would be we always tried to get them to put us together in WWF. And I remember it was in 1994, I was in Japan.
Yeah.
And they threw us together in one match. And I remember we went out there and we tried so hard to have such a good match. And I remember Randy threw me in the turnbuckle and charged into me in the corner. And I threw my boot up and I kicked him in the face. And I split his eye open right above here. And I just remember he came back after and his eye was all bleeding and everything. And he goes, I loved it. He loved the match and he gave me a hug.
Yeah.
And I remember he said it's good for the business.
Yeah.
And it was true, but I remember we after that match, we did that match for each other.
Yeah.
That was a match Randy did for me, and that was a match I did for Randy, and it was, whether there was nobody there that day or it would have been the same match.
That's awesome. I always loved you guys when you guys were tag team and you guys were the Space Cowboys. And they were like the complete opposites, but it just worked.
It's funny, I can't remember, I referred to Randy as the Space Cowboy in the promo.
Yeah.
And I remember he came up to me, he goes, I love that, brother. And he was so happy. He goes, where'd you come up with that? And I said, it's from a Steve Miller song.
Yeah.
Funny enough, Randy never listened to rock and roll music. He had no idea who Steve Miller was.
Yeah.
He was a country music guy all the way.
So I didn't know. That's a cool little tidbit there. I know everybody wants to meet Bret, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure. And do you have anything you want to say to these people before they come up here?
I hope you guys get everything you need signed, and we got all day, so take your time and have fun. And I appreciate all my fans out here, and I consider Vancouver one of those places that helped develop me for my career. And I've always appreciated being here. I think part of me wishes he'd moved to Vancouver a long time ago.
Yeah.
But no, I've always loved it here, and I love the people here, and I appreciate the history that we've had together.
And he means that. Like a little BTS, we were driving here, and he was like, "This is a really beautiful city."
It is.
Yeah.
Just remember, Calgary's on the other side.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll get this meet and greet started. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we get to do this again sometime soon. Oh, we'll take a picture?
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.
gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy, the Wrestling Classic here, guys. I want to let you guys know that there's a limited edition Wrestling Classic tee. I'm wearing it right now, but I got to show you the back because it's in collaboration with none other than HQ Clothing, guys. It says Conquered in the back because that's what we do out here, conquering it every day, guys. Wear this shirt, remember to conquer it. Do the thing, keep doing the thing. HQ Clothing, Headquarters Clothing, guys. Limited edition Wrestling Classic shirts. There's only like 70 left. There's only 100 printed. Make sure you get them before they're gone. I truly, truly, truly appreciate your support. Conquer it. Get it now. Put the link in the description below.